What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another video. This is video 1 out of a series I'm going to do talking about the attachment styles, what an attachment style is, and the 4 different styles that there are. Keep in mind that people are not only just one attachment style. We could be a mixture of a couple, of all of them, based on what we've experienced in our childhood. So the goal with these videos and this playlist is to give you information that you can use to better understand yourself or your partner and figure out why you are the way you are and how you can overcome what attachment style you are. By overcoming triggers and core wounds from your childhood, we can work towards being entirely secure, the secure attachment style. So let's get into it. The 4 attachment styles are dismissive avoidant, fearful avoidant, anxious attachment, and secure. The first attachment style, and what this video is going to talk about and introduce to you, is the dismissive avoidant attachment style. Generally, the dismissive avoidant attachment style, that person has been neglected in their childhood by their caregivers and have felt that they need to rely only on themselves. They are a one-man show and it is them versus the world. So when they are in a relationship that is kind of attaching yourself to somebody else, that could be very overwhelming and they could want to withdraw from that. A dismissive avoidant person in childhood, as I said before, has learned that they're not getting their emotional needs met by their caregivers. They're just not. So they've now kind of repressed that whole idea. They don't think that they can really get that, so they don't even really want that anymore because they never got it. They feel they can't get it, so they don't want it. And when they're given that in, let's say, a relationship with someone who's able to express themselves and show love, they're like, this is not what I'm used to, and I'm probably gonna get it taken away from me, so I don't want it all together, so I'm just gonna push you away. You may be thinking, should a dismissive avoidant be with another dismissive avoidant? Should a dismissive avoidant be with a fearful? Listen, in my opinion, there is not one combination that is better than another. It's all about the people, and if the people want to figure out what is their triggers and why and fix those core wounds from childhood, then that's the way that a relationship is going to function. When in a relationship with a dismissive avoidant, something that is really key in order to make that relationship work is understanding their needs as a dismissive avoidant. Not saying at all to just surrender to how they are and you be in pain and really uncomfortable with the relationship, obviously not, but knowing that a dismissive avoidant needs more space than maybe you do as fearful, anxiety, or secure, letting them know that they can get that space without being in trouble or gonna get passive aggressive attitude or whatnot. They need to know that they can get that space. We all have an attachment style, so it's all about learning what that is. I'll link a quiz below, so if you're curious to know what you are, you can. And we're a combination of them all, right? So it's all about learning what you are, what your partner is, and then learning your tendencies and seeing how could we make that not clash. Out of all of the attachment styles, fearful, dismissive, and anxious, those people, we need to learn how to self-soothe. That's what we didn't learn how to do when we were younger, which is why we have these attachment styles now today in our relationships. That takes extra work. It's not always easy. The first step would be figuring out what you are, figuring out what your partner is, and then figuring out what it would take for you to be fulfilled by yourself without seeking that fulfillment from your partner, so that way you guys don't clash. Once you've given enough time in each of those categories to know what you are, to know what your partner is, and then to know what it would take for you to self-soothe, that is when you start to overcome your childhood trauma and could have a healthier relationship. So like I said before, how to make the relationship work is fixing the individual first. So if you don't do that work where you figure out, why did I react that way? Okay, let me see. I felt this, and this. Write it down, talk it out, see a therapist, talk to a friend. Working on yourself as an individual first will help you make the relationship work. A lot of people initially blame the other person and go straight to the other person and say, this isn't working because X, Y, and Z, and you, and just point the finger. But really, we all have our shit to overcome. So have you done that work where you're looking at yourself and really going deep and figuring out, what's going on? Why do I feel this way? Why do I react this way? And is it that person's fault, or is it a little bit of my own attachment style? The first step for dismissive avoidance is that they need to learn how to trust other people and be open and vulnerable with other people. They're not used to that, which is why they withdraw when they're in a relationship most of the time, because their partner is able to be emotionally connected to them. They need to learn how to rely on others. Once this dismissive avoidant is able to look inside themselves and figure out what's going on within themselves and then express that in a relationship, express what they're feeling within the relationship, over time that allows the person to rely on others and see that people are actually caring about them, are there for them, they can be relied on. It is healing some of the trauma that they've received as a child where their caregiver was not that for them. When a dismissive avoidant person is expressing themselves, notice that that is a really hard thing for them to do, and that it is hard for them to be vulnerable. When they are doing so, hold that space for them, hold that moment, let them express themselves, don't interrupt them, and really be there for them during that time. How it works is, if both partners, no matter what attachment style you are actively working on their core wounds to figure out what's going on in there, what happened in childhood, and they're figuring that out individually, and each one actively cares for each other's needs, the better the relationship will be. Another belief that the dismissive avoidants have is that, remember, they only rely on themselves, right? They were taught that they don't have anybody else, they are it. They also put that belief onto others. They also think that everyone else should only rely on themselves. Nobody else should need anybody else. They pull back and they withdraw when their partner shows that they need them. Here are a few core patterns that the dismissive avoidant has. The dismissive avoidant wants to feel supported. That is one of the main things. They want to feel that if they want to go and spend a few hours alone, that they can go and do that without any consequence, right? They need to feel as though their autonomy is respected. It's okay. Another pattern, consistency and clarity is essential. So what do I mean by that? When you are discussing your needs or having a discussion or an argument with a dismissive avoidant, you need to be clear. Do not leave room to read between the lines. Remember, they think everyone's responsible for themselves, right? If you're trying to drop hints here and there and try to get them to understand, they're just like, what? Like, just speak and be clear, because a lot of miscommunication can happen if the person is not clear. When needs are clearly communicated over time with a dismissive avoidant, that really creates a nice bond between the two, because they feel like they can understand, they feel like it's safe, there's no room for confusion and frustration, and there's no miscommunication. So, like I said before, once that happens over time, they can start predicting what's gonna happen and predicting what's going on, which is something that they have not experienced in their childhood. They will begin to start to feel safer and more vulnerable in the relationship. This one is basically communicating your issue with this person in a nice, constructive criticism way, delivering some good positive information before you say what you'd like to change or be worked on. Because remember, they have been taught that they are defective. That is what they feel like. Their parents were not able to be emotionally there for them, so they feel like something is wrong with them. And if you come at a dismissive avoidant with information that is going to initially trigger them and feel like, see, I knew it, something's freaking wrong with me. The closest person to me is now telling me that, and they feel attacked, and the gloves go up and you're completely pushed away, and they'll feel like shutting down and not being vulnerable with you anymore. I think this goes for a lot of people, or the majority of people would like to receive information, something that they need to work on in a nice constructive way with, I like to call it the sandwich. You give a compliment before you say the meat of what the issue is, and then you compliment at the end, because it's the best way to hear something that you need to work on. It's better than just going right at it with like the issue. The main takeaways are autonomy, letting them know that you are okay with their alone time, communication, and acceptance. So that is video 1 out of this series called Attachment Styles. In the next video, we're going to be talking about the anxious attachment and how that works, and how that works with a dismissive avoidant, and how that works in general. If you like this video, make sure you stick around for the rest of the series, because it's going to be really cool information. I would love it for you to give me a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell so that you get notified when I post more videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.